hello, everybody. Welcome to the show with Mike. T-Roy's in the house, the Vanilla Gorilla. How are you, my friend?
I'm well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great.
Oh, an up day. Here we go. Up, down, up, down.
Actually, I'm not doing great. I'm in a shit ton of pain, but, you know,
Put on a
I
happy
went and
face.
saw my guy today for PT, and I don't know if I should feel uncomfortable or not, but he gently peeled my shorts down and my underwear, and then just manhandled my buttocks.
Yeah, well.
Which is where the pain is.
That's where the issue is, man. Hey.
Yeah, but it was like...
He didn't finger it or anything, right?
We weren't in a closed room, so there's people coming in, and I'm like, I just know my ass is out. I just know my ass is out. But he's so good. His hands are like magic wands.
Yeah,
And he's
very gentle.
getting in there, a little
Loving
close
touch.
to the anus. It was uncomfortable for a moment there.
Spread or anything
crazy.
crazy?
Spread. I felt a tongue at one point. It was different.
Yeah.
But it was. I feel like he did good for me.
The glutes. That's what that is. Down in the glutes.
Yeah. It's so weird because it started in my back and it's just kind of shifted up my spine and then back down in my lower back, the lower lumbar, and then it's just gone down into my ass, especially my right ass cheek.
Yeah.
And it's just...
It's a nerve thing.
Yeah.
Did they explain to you how that all works? The nerves come out of the spine, out of the
probably.
little
I
disc
just don't
holes and
remember.
Down and out.
I mean, that was 2 days ago now. You expect me to remember any of that stuff?
That is fair.
Yeah. So, exciting day today. I literally didn't prep a show.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
It's better work.
Yeah, I'm counting on Greg Henson to carry the load today. So we're gonna call him in a minute. Straight up 6 o'clock. It's 5:52 now, so we'll call him in about 8 minutes.
Okay. Nice to be punctual.
Yeah, I usually don't trust 3G Greg's, but
Exactly.
I feel like he's been vetted.
Someone's got a history.
Yeah. Good dude. Long career in radio. Worked with Jamie Samuelson.
Ah, yeah. Rest
It's a
in
good
peace.
show, and he was running the fan. WDFN
Program
during the-
director, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's got to be hard to be a program director and on-air talent.
I would think so.
Yeah,
the
it's a lot.
double duty like that.
But he started a year before I did.
Okay.
He started in '94 as an intern at CSX. I started in '95 as an intern with Drew and Mike, and then our careers did not have the same trajectory. As he's running the shit. And He's
Yeah.
been running stations ever since. I would not want that job.
Oh, so many headaches.
Yeah.
So much
Dealing with
bullshit.
talent
Yeah.
and ego.
Oh, God, I know. It sucks.
And salaries,
Yeah.
and then this one finds out what that one's making. And
Yep.
yeah,
Nah.
it's tough.
No, I do not want any part of that.
Yeah, yeah. But so yeah, we're just counting on him to do the heavy lifting.
Yeah, watch him have like 5 minutes and be like, all right, guys, I got to go.
I gotta
See you
go.
later.
I got to take the kids to hockey. So
Yeah, let's pay some bills before we do that.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a message from our guys over at Zott Ford and Holly. The bar and the guys still have rates as low as 2.9% for up to 72 months, and that's crazy good. But this can't last long because as the Fed raises rates, these smoking hot deals aren't going to last forever. So if you want the best deals in the D and the lowest rates possible, go see our boy today. Zott has all new cars in stocks like F-150, Broncos, Escapes, Edges, and Expeditions. The studs over at Zott, Ford, and Holly always make buying and leasing fast, fun, and easy, so check out their sick deals and sexy inventory at dealsinthed.com.
very good. RadioFor1.com is live.
Yeah.
That is the website. That's where you can get merch, T-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts. Right now, I talked to Scott and Miko over the last couple of days. Talked to Scott today and was letting him know we wanted to get those stickers in there for people and some hats. So a lot of stuff's coming. We'll obviously let you know as soon as it's available. Amazon link is there. Amazon Canada link is there that everyone asked us about. Groupon, MyPillow. You could sign up and become a Patreon member. I told you yesterday I talked to Dawn over at MyPillow, and they're sending us the coffee. She swears by it.
Well, give it a shot. Let's
Yeah.
see. Can't wait.
Yeah,
I love a good
hope-
cup of Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, she was saying that, Mike doesn't usually screw around with that stuff. He's willing to get behind something if it's a good product.
Yeah.
So, My Coffee.
Can't wait.
We'll check it out.
We'll
see
see.
what it's all about. So just use promo code TDC, whether you go to mystore.com or mypillow.com. TDC will work at all of them.
Lowest price possible.
Yeah. Yeah. They've got great deals on their sheets. They're blowing out the sheets while they last.
Yeah, that My Store's got a ton of other stuff on there, too.
Yeah. Bleed stop.
All of it.
If you'd find yourself in a horrible bleeding situation where you're literally bleeding out. I looked
Except
at that.
no substitute.
He sent me some of those packs.
Yeah, we have them around here.
And-
I haven't had the opportunity to need one yet.
Well, have you been shot yet? Have you seen the size of that thing? It's like, oh, I didn't know I was taking a 50 cal round. Oh, all right, we're good.
Good to go.
Patch that thing right up. No problem.
Hey, we do have a new Patreon member,
Oh, awesome.
the lovely Ash Mathis.
Ash Mathis.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Ash Mathis.
Absolutely. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Ash. I wonder if she was named after, like, cigarette ash.
Probably, right?
Yeah. Dad's a big smoker.
I'm sure.
Sitting there with one of those long-ass ashes on his cigarette. He's
What are we going to name her?
like, I don't know. Fuck it. Let's just call her Ash.
Probably not short for Ashley.
No.
I can't imagine.
Cigarette ash.
Yeah.
That's what I was going by. Yeah. Hey, I got an email I thought I would read.
Okay.
And it goes to a story that you first brought up 2 days ago, and then I circled back socket yesterday with it. And
Okay.
it's the robbery,
Oh, the bishop.
the bishop getting
Yeah.
400 G's worth of jewelry
Bling
and
stolen.
Bling, yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? His
His bishop ring and his
Bishop-
bishop chain,
yeah, right.
along with all the other chains.
Uh-huh. And they even got the ones under his
Yeah.
robe.
They
outfit.
knew that wasn't it. They're
Yeah.
like, all right, bullshit. Come on.
We got an email from someone. Bishop robbery was inside job.
That was my thing. When dude was sitting there not flinching in the back,
Well, I could see dude just wanting to look hard.
that wasn't hard.
No? You think that was...
That wasn't hard.
No, I thought it was kind of hard.
That was
No?
that was just sitting there watching. That was not flinching. That wasn't hitting the deck.
But that was like he doesn't want his boys to see him go, ah, and fall face first on the ground. So I think it didn't look like he froze. It was just like, all right, bitches, do you.
Dudes in masks come running in with guns, tell everybody to get on the fucking ground.
And he doesn't.
I'm just saying. That was my first instinct.
After looking at the video, I can't help but think this was a staged robbery. First, the bishop instantly hits the floor before robbers say anything.
Well, you can't audio. is
saw
tough.
them come in-
plus, they can say things like he's mic'd up, but the crowd's not. So if they came in, they were like, "Get on the ground." You know,
Yeah.
you may not. You're not going to pick that up necessarily on his mic.
Or he could have just seen him with long guns and,
Yeah.
you know.
But if,
'Cause
yeah,
he
if you did that,
definitely
it was-
froze.
Oh yeah, he just went straight to the ground. So if he just saw them and dropped, then he's a bitch.
Yeah. Secondly, usually robbers are barking orders and threatening the victims, but everyone was calm and quiet. And lastly,
Uh-oh.
that's the hospital or Blue Care.
All right.
I don't want to talk to them.
Pay your bill, man.
Yeah. I should pot that. Oops.
Yep.
Let's see. Now, I could be wrong. There was no urgency amongst the robbers. They do seem like when robbers go into a place that there's a level of urgency.
Yep.
But it could be just
I mean,
calm.
it was only a minute, something like that. I mean, in and out, smash and grab. That's pretty good timing, I would think.
Now, I could be wrong, but the bishop did claim there was $1 million stolen in jewelry. I thought it was 400 grand. Did that change?
I had heard 400 grand originally. I haven't followed up on the story, and maybe because I mean there were some iPads or things stolen. I think from
Really?
allegedly.
iPad,
allegedly.
used iPad.
Yeah. So yeah, it could have just been an insurance scam.
Yeah.
Oh no, and more publicity.
Yeah.
Who? Oh, we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's something stank a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to make an insurance claim on whatever was stolen.
Of course.
So, that'd be a nice double dip.
Exactly.
If you can pull that off.
Yeah. Let him get robbed, split that with him.
Yeah.
And then make the claim and get it all back.
Yeah. Do you want to do another read and then we'll...
Oh, yeah. Hey, this
Call
part of the
Greg here.
show with 3G is brought to you by The Party Pub. If you want to impress everyone at your grad party, wedding reception, poker night, MMA viewing party, or any other reason, you need to contact The Party Pub. It's a massive inflatable pub that can be set up wherever you choose. They also have all the best party games, beanbag toss, badminton, giant inflatable screens, axe throwing,
Yeah.
and much, much more.
Mini axe throwing.
Yeah, call Jeff, El Jefe, at 586-524-6701 or visit thepartypubrentals.com to take your event to the next level.
Take your chances with the salsa.
Yeah.
Be forewarned.
Yep. Man, I was there. I was flipped there for a minute. I thought I ate the hot and then I ate the mild, but then I ate the mild thinking it was the hot, thinking, what the fuck's going on? This
Yeah.
isn't even that hot. And then I realized, no.
The
it
hot
was
is blazing.
Not blazing.
Yeah.
The
And
hot
the
is
mild
hot.
is hot as shit,
And
too.
the mild wasn't too bad.
And she's doubling down. She's
Yeah.
not changing it.
No, why would she?
Yeah. That's her thing. You don't like it? Too bad. Tough shit.
Cut
All
it.
right. You ready to call Greg?
Sure, why not?
Let's call him up. Let's call Greg Henson. 3G.
That's tough.
What?
The extra G.
Yeah.
Hello.
Greg Henson.
Hey,
Hey, it's Mike and Troy over at TDC Podcast.
what's up, guys? How are you?
Very, very good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just sitting in the office waiting on you guys, so I'm cool.
Hope we didn't keep you waiting too long.
Oh God, no. I was just sitting here. No worries. I got plenty of work to do.
Yeah. Well, it's good to hear from you. I'm wondering, first off the bat, have you gotten an Australian Shepherd yet?
No,
No?
my wife is making me work for it
Ooh.
Okay.
because we already have two dogs, and she knows I'm getting one, but I haven't found one yet.
Okay.
Oh, no, don't mistake. I am getting one.
Dude, it's the best decision I ever made.
I had one when I was single, and she was a brilliant dog. I mean, I loved her.
Yeah.
She lived to be about 17.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was a good girl.
Yeah. Was she big?
No, she was 40 pounds at her biggest.
Yeah. Okay. That's what Cece is. She's like 37 pounds.
Yep, perfect size, too.
Yeah. You know, I really wanted the big 60-pounder. My brother's got an Aussie and Shelby, and she's a big girl. And I really loved her, and I wanted that, but I picked the runt of the litter. And
Well, you know my
glad.
philosophy: big dog, big shit.
Yeah, exactly.
More food.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I like my wife's dogs because, man, they shit the size of your finger.
Yeah, Troy's got one of those dogs.
Shorty. Yeah, a little
Yeah.
tiny one. It's great. It's like a Tootsie Roll. You can just pick it right
Yep.
up. No problem.
Yeah. What's that?
I love the little ones, too.
Yeah. It's funny. I like that dog. Bogey is his name, and he'll shit in the house, and I'm like, and I'm like, nah, it's kind of adorable. Just pick it up and throw it
Yeah,
away.
it's just not the end of the world, is it? You know?
No. So, are you still programming over at RVA?
Yep, I got RVA and RNL here in Richmond.
Yeah. Why Richmond?
Well, I got downsized in Pittsburgh, and it was at a time a few years ago where there was nothing going on because the CBS merger, iHeart was laying people off.
Yeah.
And so I went to Lincoln, Nebraska for a year to help a buddy out. And I said I'm only staying a year. So after about 10 months, Richmond came up. And it had just been sold to Odyssey. I knew the GM and liked him. And RVA is an outsized signal in Richmond. It's really like you can get it at your house at night. It's a big station.
Yeah. What is it? 50,000?
It's 50,000. It's conservative talk, which I love.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
and the talent's really good, and we're killing it. So I'm here for the time being. I got a high school senior this coming year. So he also plays pretty high level hockey. And so we're probably, look, I want to get out of Richmond at some point. And nothing wrong with it. I just want to go back to a bigger market.
Yeah.
But I didn't want him graduating from a different school than his brother. So I kind of just... We're ready to announce something soon, but it's not for public consumption. But there's a podcast network called Locked On Sports.
Okay.
And like Matt Derry does Locked On Lions. They have all the teams. And they've offered us Locked On Detroit, me and Mark Spindler.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah, Spindler's fun.
And they pay.
Even
Really?
better. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like your typical podcast where they just want you to work for clicks.
Right.
These guys are putting up significant money to help us.
Do they have sponsors? Do they have an audience?
Yeah, it's a huge network. It's on the Odyssey app too.
Okay.
But if you go to Locked On Podcast Network, I think you'll see that it's a pretty big deal. Derry's been doing it for 3 years. He must be making some money.
Yeah, yeah. Well, very few do. There's very few podcasts that actually make any money.
Now you make money on Patreon, right? Is that how you make it go?
Yeah, Patreon. I've got some sponsors, that have been with me for a while, and it's been, but we're probably in the very few percentile of shows that can actually, move product for people,
Right.
and draw in an audience,
And that's my deal. I just if they want to pay me to do it, which they're going to,
yeah,
and then it's a pretty good chunk. They're investing $3,000 a month.
okay,
In the show, and then we get more as it grows.
okay,
Now, would you have to be local for that, or is that something you can still do remote?
I can do it anywhere.
Okay.
yeah,
I know sometimes
Plus,
it's better to have those people in studio together.
Yeah, we're doing it remotely because he's got a bunch of Miracle Ear stores in Chicago.
Okay.
he's got what in Chicago?
Miracle.
He has like 30 Miracle Ear stores.
Wow.
He's killing it. Yeah.
Wow,
Didn't see that coming.
He's a fucking madman.
That whole family is really high achievers. Like,
Yeah,
Rocco's at Notre Dame, and one of his daughters graduated. She's a Ford model, and one of them graduated from West Point.
oh, really?
So all
Yeah.
four of them are killing it, man.
Yeah, I remember Spindler doing a couple remotes with us back in the day. I think it
He's
was
a great dude.
yeah, I think it was Spindler, but he'd go ham in a bathroom and rip a fucking he'd rip the napkin dispenser right off the wall and headbutt the mirror like he was nuts. We had him at a couple St. Patty's Day.
Oh yeah.
events. Yeah. I'm sure
I love the guy. I've known him for years. I hated him when he was a player because I'm like, what a dick.
Yeah.
And then, once he retired, he was himself.
Yeah.
And he's just fun. Like, he's just funny when we talk. Every other word out of his mouth is fuck.
Yeah. A lot of those guys like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm pretty stoked about that project with him. And then if I can get back to Michigan and everything works out, it'll be great.
Yeah, well, it's home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to just have multiple streams of income in this business nowadays.
Yeah, that's so true. I was listening to your show the other day, filling in for Jeff Katz.
Jeff Katz, yeah.
Yeah, dude, you are so smooth on the show. I thought it was so. I mean, obviously you're a pro. You've done this forever, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to sit by myself and just talk for 40 minutes.
It's not easy, but it's a lifestyle, man. Sports and politics are just what I do,
Yeah.
And I don't have a shortage of opinions in what I think, and I like to tell people to fuck off. And,
Yep.
I like a good fight.
Yeah. It's funny. No, go ahead, Greg.
I was just going to say last week I did it, or before I went on vacation, I did a show, and I was like, maybe it's time to get rid of Trump. All these people were pissed.
Yeah.
But I'm like, he makes everything harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where we landed.
Shut up.
Yep. That's exactly where we landed. Like DeSantis would be a great choice.
I love that. And I did the whole show on that.
Yeah.
I said, DeSantis is everything you love in Trump without the headaches.
Yep. Exactly. And you know what he's not going to do? Make suburban white women not vote.
And he's not going to, and no unforced errors.
Exactly. Smart,
he's gonna,
smart guy, super
smart,
slick. Yeah.
Polished.
Yeah.
I'd do him and Kristi Noem just so I could look at her for 4 years.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
We're team Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi
over
Gabbard,
here.
yeah. I know.
Oh, she's kind of a smoke show too. Yeah, I like her.
Yeah, she's great. I know she's technically a Democrat, but I could stomach a Tulsi Gabbard and Ron DeSantis ticket.
She's common sense, though. That's
Absolutely,
important. That's what's lost on a lot of these people.
I mean, you could literally do 16 years with those two.
Yeah.
Yep. It would be awesome. But hey, man, I'm just looking forward to November right now.
Me too.
It should be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
and I'm here for every bit of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. One of the things you said, and I find this to be so true, Greg. You said you were talking to a liberal friend of yours, and they were asking your opinion on January 6th or something. And
It's my boss.
oh, it's your boss.
Yeah.
But you said to him, "Hey, what do you make of the Hunter Biden story?" Crickets. He didn't know anything about it.
Yep. Neither did my wife. She's a lib.
Yeah.
Because they only watch CNN.
Yeah. It's
And network
mind blowing. Because I just don't understand, because it's so like the Hunter Biden story is two stories in one.
Right.
Watching his porn and crack addiction and horror stuff is hilarious on one level.
Awesome.
He's
a
awesome.
wizard.
He's the biggest degenerate Sodom and Gomorrah on planet Earth, and it's hilarious.
Right.
And the other side is the Biden corruption family. Like, it's so clear. Why won't anyone take a look at that?
The crime cartel.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same. The Biden crime cartel. It's the same thing today. They're trying to tell us we're not in a recession, and my news guy is a lib, and he was saying Biden doesn't believe it's a recession. And I walked in there, I said, it's a fucking recession. It's 2 consecutive quarters. Don't ever lie to my audience again.
Well,
Yeah.
they changed the definition, right?
Yeah,
So,
just change the definition. That's all.
Yeah, they're trying.
yeah, like
They're trying
gain
to
of function.
Yeah, they're trying to say that because unemployment's high, but it's like, or low, but that doesn't matter. And when you have inflation pushing 9%, I mean, I don't want to hear it. You know, I'm just not into the bullshit lies they're doing all the time anymore.
Yeah, but it's sad because I have liberal friends, and like hardcore liberal friends, and they want to blow off the Biden crime family. I don't know if you read Peter Schweitzer's book.
No.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's from years ago, and he details all of Burisma and Hunter Biden's deals, you know, on the board at Burisma, and Joe Biden and James Biden, Jim Biden, his brother.
Yep.
Yeah, details everything, and it's like, how is this allowed to go on and nobody's doing anything about it?
Yeah, they didn't know. The media doesn't care. That is the job of the journalists, and they just don't care.
It's mind blowing to me, but you know,
Pisses me off.
Well, nobody on the political side's going to do it because everyone's doing it. So you're not going to get it from that side. And if when you're on team media, it's not going to get reported. If it was the other way, they'd be screaming it from the mountaintops. But the reality is that everybody's dirty. Everybody's doing it. So nobody really wants to shine too bright of a light on those types of things.
well,
Right.
It's sad because, you know, I watch what's going on. I've never talked about my son's international business dealings, and then here's the phone call. It's like, okay, well that proves you're full of shit, sir. And then, you know, just all the other stuff that's in there that you could show that to a liberal and they just won't see it.
It's maddening. I agree.
It's infuriating. It was never like that before when we were, you know, in our younger radio days.
No, it wasn't. It was always, you know, in the past we could all agree on the facts.
Yes.
Now we can't even agree on the basic facts.
Yeah. Are you worried about where this leads to?
As far as a revolution?
Yeah. Or
Or a
something.
civil war?
Yeah. Or whatever that would look like. I don't even know what that would look like, but
Well, what it looks like is red states against blue states.
yeah.
I would be lying if I said I hadn't thought about it quite a bit. I mean, I think, I have a morning guy who is a gay conservative with a black boyfriend.
Yeah.
And so he's very vocal, and he thinks we're heading to that.
Yeah.
He does. He thinks that the people are going to get really fed up with being lied to, and what they did today with that tax increase is going to be a problem, I think, going forward, because inflation is going to go up higher.
Yeah.
And I just think it's going to be. But yeah, I do wonder where it's going.
Yeah.
And unless we can find someone who can at least get us all to agree on the facts again, it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah. Well, the problem I see is you're already seeing the national media cover Ron DeSantis like he's a Nazi and worse than Trump.
You know what?
Yeah.
Trump predicted Rush predicted that before he died. He said he'll be worse than Trump before it's all over.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yep. Writing was on the wall.
He knew how it worked. He knew how these people are. They're just scumbags.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're all in the pocket for Democrats. It's been going on forever. I mean, the first time I started noticing it was when Bush the first was in office, and they were crushing him on this very mild recession.
Right.
And like, they would never print any good news when the unemployment rate came out or anything. It was all Bush sucks, Bush sucks, Bush sucks.
Right.
And that's all they ever did.
Yeah.
And that's like, yep, this is what we're dealing with.
How much do you think social media plays a part in this? Because, Troy and I often talk about how there used to just be some level of respect, like, you get together with the family, you don't talk about politics, you don't talk about religion, you don't talk about abortion. There's just some hot button topics. But now it seems like maybe social media is the real problem that is given voice to everybody, and now the bees are just fighting.
Well, I think that's true, but my point would be we have to be smarter than that. Mm-hmm. We can't let a guy with 8 followers have any oxygen.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they get it. Like, AOC shouldn't have a seat at the table. She's an idiot.
Yeah.
But these other people who post extremist shit online, people give them oxygen just so you can point at them and go, see, this is how the left is.
Right.
And I'm like, 8 followers, fuck off.
Yeah.
But now we give voice to those people, and they somehow, like Rush always said, and when I listened to back in the day, he said, what is fringe now will be mainstream in 25 years.
Yep.
And what's mainstream now? The climate bullshit, the universal basic income, the Green New Deal, every fucking radicalized nutty thing they ever proposed.
Yeah.
Is, like gender pronouns.
Oh.
I mean, give me a break. But we have to stop giving these people a voice. I mean, I always say on my show, everyone doesn't deserve a platform or a seat at the table.
Exactly.
You got to earn that. You got to earn that.
Yeah.
And AOC hasn't, and the squad hasn't.
Right. It's funny you say that. I went to lunch with Drew a month or two ago, and he said to me, you know what? I hate the word podcast. And I went, really? And I didn't follow up with him. I will at some point. But I think what he meant by that was there was a time when it was just our profession. We worked in radio. We started with nothing. Most of us started as interns. And then you had to earn your career. And now any asshole with a $20 mic and an internet connection can be a talk show host.
Right. But here's the best part. And keep in mind too, any 12-year-old can have 2 million viewers on YouTube.
Right.
For falling down and hitting his face on the concrete. I mean, but what passes for content is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Agreed.
And radio does it too. There's a guy they put on nationally at Odyssey. He does nights. You know why he got the job? Because he has 4 million TikTok followers. And I'm like, doesn't make good fucking radio.
No, not at all. Not at all. But you see that when they
TikTok, you're watching hot chicks dance. I mean, who the fuck does that?
Yeah,
it's just a time.
Some of them are getting paid, man.
Mm-hmm. I know.
I mean, they're getting real money. I mean, but you have people that just take pictures of their feet on TikTok and make $100,000 a month. It's madness.
Well, and that money used to go to radio.
Yeah.
And now not. So it's definitely made it more difficult. But I mean, he's right about podcasts. But you know what though? Those podcasts no one listens to.
Yeah, right.
If you don't have some starting point, like you have a starting point, Drew has a starting point, I have a starting point from DFN days and the social media stuff. But it's still, man, people just, I'm not interested in doing a podcast where 8 people listen.
No.
That's just a waste of time.
Yeah, it is. And most people, they burn out really quick, is what I find.
Yeah.
It's like they're all piss and vinegar, and then they realize no one's listening outside of their family and immediate friends. And after a month, it's like it's real work, and the shine of the toy wears off. And then you realize, holy shit, it's really, really hard to get any sort of following.
Well, I was happy with the Michelle following, but she's too inconsistent. It's just, it's more of a hobby than anything. But, you're right. There's just, and I think Drew works too hard. I don't know why he's doing 3 hours a day.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't either.
Crazy. No one has that time to listen. The podcast's perfect length is 30 minutes.
Yeah. I noticed you're doing like 30, 35. I do an hour and a half. I used to do 2 hours and then, or 2.5 hours. It was just a mindset of radio. That's what it was.
Right.
It was like, oh, this is what you do. You have to post Monday through Friday and you have to give them 3 hours of content. It's like bullshit. No, you don't. You know,
Nope.
We should probably scale back to an hour, honestly. And
Like with that, when you guys were on the air at Riff, no one could listen except on their commute. I mean, they might pop it on in the office,
Right.
But I would only hear you guys when I was driving in, because by the time I got there, I was back to work. I was into my work and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was like I can listen to them for a little while. So that's, to me, if podcasts are being time shifted in your car, 30 minutes. My commute here is like 12 minutes.
yeah.
And I go 4 miles a day.
Yeah. Well, we can see back end, and it's amazing the TSL that we can get for doing an hour and a half. It's really, people will pause it, come back to it later, and finish the damn
I do
show.
too.
Yeah.
Like I listen on my way home to my podcast, and then once I get the dogs out for 2 miles, I'll listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty much. I got about an hour and a half a day to listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
And Ben Shapiro gets most of that.
Yeah. He's great, isn't he?
I love that he brings receipts, man.
Yeah.
I love that he will source everything, and he's smart as a whip, man.
Yeah.
Like if I ever it's always funny because sometimes I'll be like, not really sure what this means. Sure enough, he'll explain it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a very, very cool thing to have when you try to stay informed. He's really my go-to since Rush died.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, filled that gap kind of.
Yeah, I've talked about it on this show. I absolutely love what Daily Wire is doing.
I do too.
Yeah, I mean that's
They're pretty much like the bird at everyone.
Yeah, yeah. I mean it's fantastic.
It's funny that you say that because he's my next $12.
Yeah, right.
I've been meaning to do it and I just haven't.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pull the trigger. Hi, Carol. I'm going to pull the trigger on
Hi,
that.
Carol.
And she's my studio.
What's that?
Cleaning up the studio, even though no one uses it anymore unless it's me. Because my other guys have never come back from, they're just doing it from home.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, from COVID, you mean?
Yeah. Well, the one guy has a bad back, so he built a studio in a man shed in the back of his house, and the other guy does it from his condo in Short Pump. And so I'm the only guy who ever uses the studio anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where are we going, Greg? Just going for a jog now, or what happened? She cleaned the
I
office,
just
had to get
went
out of there?
my car.
Oh, all right.
Well, I was worried I was worried that they were gonna start cleaning in there, and I wanted to get out of there.
Yeah. Smart.
Yeah, good move.
Hey, you want to go back a few years and talk about your start in radio?
What's that?
I said, you want to go back a few years and talk about your start in radio?
Sure.
And by the way, I don't know how your time is. I didn't even ask you. I literally didn't prep a show. I just figured I'd talk to you the whole time. So,
yeah, no worries.
Okay, if you got to go at some point, that's fine. But
Are you recording this now?
no, we're live.
Oh,
I probably should have told you that.
I'm swearing my brains out.
Yeah,
That's okay.
So do we. Fuck
Yeah,
it.
who cares?
Okay. I didn't realize we were even on. We were just chatting.
Greg, I am so sorry. That is so unprofessional.
I figured
My
that was
God.
discussed pre-show. Sorry.
Dude,
Oh my
that
God,
is-
that's fine. No, I don't think I said anything bad, did I?
No. You were great. I love it. That is so unprofessional of me, though. We started the show 10 minutes early, got a couple reads out of the way, and then just blew in a call to you. And of course, I learned nothing in my career in radio, like announcing that you're actually, hey, we're live on the air right now. So I'm so sorry to do that to you. It's not the first time. It won't be the last time. But
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
yeah, I think I had Van Halen's manager on once, and he went off on a fucking tangent, and it was like, wait, are we live right now? I was like, yeah, we've been live for an hour. He's like, Jesus, man.
Well, heads up, please.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So it's interesting. I got my start in radio as an intern in '95. I interned for Drew and Mike for 9 months, and I think you got your start at CSX the year before in '94.
94 was when I went to the Fan. I actually started as an intern in October of '88 at CSX.
Oh no shit. Okay,
yeah.
so Okay.
So I spent time there with like 4 different morning shows. And then when JJ and the crew came over, I did a year with them. And then I went to the Fan.
Okay.
So that was my first real. I mean, I was full time at CSX, but going over to the Fan was my first real step in the right direction.
And were you the boss at that point?
No, I came in as the producer for Stoney and Parker.
Yeah, Rob Parker.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was their producer, and it was a great time. And the station really was in trouble early on, and they fired a bunch of people, and then they hired a new program director who didn't know what he was doing. Fired him after 6 months of just embarrassing programming.
Yeah.
And then Peter Conley came in, and he walked in and he said, basically you got 6 to 8 months to turn it around. And so we just started running, man, get the revenue, get the shows right.
What was the lineup that got it right?
Jamie and Greg in the morning. I think after us was the Fabulous Sports Babe.
Yep.
Followed by Stoney and Wojo. And then we didn't have a night show after that. We used to have Ike Griffin, but he was gone.
And when was Mega Man there? I remember Mega Man for a while, too.
He was there early, from 94 to about 96. I took over in 96.
Okay.
As the PD.
Yeah.
And so he took over for that. Or I took over then, and then we just started tweaking the lineup. And that's the one that really kind of went. And then the next year, the Red Wings won the Stanley Cup, and that was good momentum because the Tigers were garbage.
Yeah.
And so that really helped it because when we launched, there was a baseball strike.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
So our big story was OJ.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a good sports story.
Yeah, exactly.
Plenty of coverage. Yeah. Yeah.
But it was, one of those things where people just started finding us. We were doing a lot of things to make noise in the market. I think we caught some traction with some of the edgy promos we did, some of the parody stuff that went, that got around. And, the Lions fighting with us didn't hurt because that got us a lot of press when they were trying to pull credentials.
Yeah.
But, Art Regner being a maniac Red Wing fan helped.
You know what? I got to tell you, there was nothing more fun in that 95, 96, 97, whatever, those years. I remember watching those hockey games, and if they lost, you went right to the fan. Immediately to the fan as soon as the game was over, and Regner would lose his shit.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't know how he did it, but it was some of the greatest radio to listen to.
Just the rants.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because one night I said to him, you need to start going on between periods too.
Oh.
Because people will come in.
Oh, yeah.
And
do a little 10, 15 minute. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I told him flat out one night, I said, you should stay on all night if they win the Stanley Cup. And he said, this is typical Art, okay, Gregor. That's what he said. And then it just became a tradition with him staying on every time they won the Stanley Cup. And he would go on in between periods, and he was so plugged in. One of the absolute favorite guys I ever worked with. I still talk to Art all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
I was supposed to ask you, who's a better yeller, Art Regner or Bobby Knight? Was a question
I think Art when it was Lion Talk.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we all hate the Lions, but they're still our team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But that was the early history of the Fan. Jennifer Hammond had a big hand in it because she was such a fun chick to do with, and then Sabrina, and a lot of guys, were involved. Jamie was a spectacularly talented guy.
Oh, yeah.
So smart.
Yeah, he was a good dude, and he was just the perfect sports partner for me because he was more buttoned down than I was.
Liberal.
He was a lib, but you know what? He didn't like to talk politics, which I
smart.
But now he probably would. But back then he didn't. He just didn't. He didn't want to do it. But I don't think he was a pretty young guy then, and I don't think he really wanted to.
Well, he got in shit at one point too. I remember he was telling me off the air one day about the Secret Service showing up.
Oh, you know what he said? It was funny because I was leaving that day to go to the Super Bowl in San Diego, and we were on the air, and he said something to the effect of, Bill Clinton did this. He should be shot, when he was talking about Monica Lewinsky.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, he didn't advocate it or anything. He was making it was a figure of speech.
Yeah, yeah.
So I get a call. It's my boss. He goes, I need you to be honest with me. What did you say this morning? I said, what do you mean, me? I didn't say anything. And it was Jamie, and he had to go over there and talk to the Secret Service. And the funny part is, he told me whenever Clinton came to town, they wanted to know his whereabouts.
No.
Wow.
Yes. I was like, are you insane? You're Jamie. You love Clinton.
Oh, my God. That's so funny.
I know. It was so funny. 'Cause the most mild-mannered guy going, and he gets called out for that. It should tell you, my boss thought it was me.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Why wouldn't they think it was you instead of Jamie Samuelson? I mean, that.
Right.
Dude, he was so spooked by that. He like told that off the air. He wouldn't even breathe anything about that on a microphone.
No, I know.
He wanted nothing to do with that. So that's interesting to hear that's how that played out.
Yeah, that's what that was. He was like, and I think he did an apology the next day, and I backed him up, and I'm like, the last guy who would ever advocate hurting anybody is Jamie.
Right.
And then we joked about everyone thought it was me when the Secret Service showed up, and I'm like, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything about this.
That's so funny.
Not an error.
But yeah, it was pretty good time. He's missed, man.
Definitely.
I'll tell you, I don't even listen to the show anymore that he was on, because he really, and nothing against Stoney or Jansen. I don't know either one. I know Stoney, obviously, but it's just not the same show, It's just,
yeah. He was such a nice guy. It was we had a weird coming together when Drew was out and Mike Clark was hosting the show, and they threw me into the sports seat and had me doing it. And I was a producer. I was an on-air producer, but just a producer. So I didn't know how to put together a sports report, really. And so they brought Jamie in. And so it was like, oh, is there going to be weird tension between Mike Walters and Jamie Samuelson? And there was none, And I was like, dude, thank God you're here. Take this. I didn't know what I was doing. And,
right.
And he was so smooth and so good. And then, he's from the Bay Area. My family's from the Bay Area. So I'm a giant 49ers fan and Giants fan. And so we had that in common. So when the Giants were playing in the World Series, we'd be texting back and forth. And, when the Niners looked like they were doing well, we'd be texting. And just such a nice guy, such a neat guy, always available if you needed to talk to him. And such a sad ending,
Yeah, no doubt. I got a chance to meet him once. It was just random at a Tigers game. He was sitting. It was early before barely anybody in the stands. And I looked. He was like 3 rows back, couple seats over. Was sitting there by himself.
Yeah.
I went to go get something. I kind of stopped and I just said, hey, fan. He was like, oh, just have a seat. Sat down, introduced, just talked. I mean, just had a great conversation, 5-10 minutes, whatever. What's your name? What you do? Where you from? Just the absolute nicest guy in the world. Had so much respect for him. Great, It's just most people are like, fuck off, don't talk to me, And I wasn't even trying. I was just like, hey, I recognized you, just wanted to say hi, And he was like, oh, hey, have a seat. It was awesome.
Super nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun. What I liked about he was so genuine. Like, when we went to training camp one year, I told this story after he died. We were finishing our show up and packing up our equipment. We were at Tiger Spring Training. And we take our headphones off and get up, and we hear behind us, "Say, guys, can I take you to dinner?" And it's Ernie Harwell.
No.
So Ernie takes me and Jamie to the Italian joint that he frequented down there. And for 4 hours.
Wow.
3 hours probably. He's spinning yarns about Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb and Ted Williams.
Wow.
And I could just see Jamie getting a boner because he was such a baseball fan.
Yeah.
And though, don't get me wrong, I loved it because I'm a Tiger fan and because I'm a radio fan.
Right.
Jamie was like, oh my God, he knows all these people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just really cool to see, such a big fan of baseball get to sit with Ernie and in that. But, he was funny because I would always tell him, Jamie, the Tigers suck. No one cares about baseball. And he's like, so we can't talk about baseball? No, not today. No, That was our show prep meeting every day. I said, find something to talk about with the Lions.
Dude, that's so funny you mentioned Ernie Harwell. And I know he was a big influence on you when you were young, before you even got your start. We connected with Ernie, 2000 and whatever, towards the end. But I would call him. I would pre-call him before he would come on the air with us. And you could just blow in a call to him. You didn't have to go through anyone. Lulu would answer the phone most of the time. And he was the sweetest man. I can't even express to people how genuine and nice and sweet of a pair Lulu and Ernie Harwell were. And are.
Well, you know what's funny about that is when I was at 97.1, I had a guy who did voices, and he did Ernie Harwell.
Yeah.
And so I played around with putting him on the air, and we put him on a couple times. And we started calling him Dirty Ernie because he would say everything that Ernie would never say.
Oh my God. Okay.
And so he'd get on and say, so last night I was knocking boots with Miss Lulu. And I just said, nope, no more. We're not doing that.
Oh my God. Greg, you're not going to believe this. And I've never talked about this anywhere. But Mike Clark did a great Ernie Harwell.
Did he?
Yes, he did. And we did the same bit, only off the air. We would never do it on the air, but it got so fucking dirty.
I know.
It was like, oh yeah, I'm just standing back here, butt fucking Lulu. like, dude, I'm not even kidding. And we would ramp each other up to such a level, like trying to outdo each other in a commercial break. It was hilarious. But we would.
Oh my God.
We had so much respect for Ernie and Lulu. We would never, ever do that on the air. But behind the scenes, yeah, it was fun. He just did a great impression of Ernie. And of course, with Mike Clark, it was going to go down into the toilet. But,
Oh yeah.
Don't think we weren't in the toilet too, but it aired. I aired it a few times. Then I'm like, I don't want to do this to Ernie. God love him. I'm not. Yeah. Even though it wasn't mean spirited, it still went against everything he stood for, and I was like, kill the bit.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, who you talk about doing bits during the break.
Yeah.
I worked with George and JJ and George, and George Byer did a killer Arthur P.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and he would sit in there. He's like, I'm bored of this radio station. It came out of my loins. and he would just go on and on. And it was so funny. And he had me just dying when he would do those in breaks.
Yeah. If you could do a good Ernie, Arthur P., God bless him. I love Arthur. Arthur was always great to me. And God,
Legend.
The legend. I have some stories, man. I tried to get him in here. I was going to send an Uber. I told him I'd get him a gallon of Crown Royal. I want a gallon of Crown Royal if I'm going to fucking do the show. And so I was going to send a fucking driver to bring him over here. And morning of the show, I've got everything prepped. I called Art Jr. to get some like childhood stories with Arthur P. And he calls me and goes, you ain't gonna believe this, but I took too much of my heart medication, and I don't think I can go anywhere. And I was like, Art, really? He's like, let me take a shower, get cleaned up, see how I feel. I was like, okay. And it turns out he couldn't do it, and he called me a couple days later, and he was shit faced. And I'm walking around my deck just talking to him, and he's like, oh man, I figured who wants to hear what I have to say? I didn't want to come in and fuck it up and. I'm like, Art, if you suck on the show, that's my fault, not yours.
Yeah.
Right.
You're a legend, dude. Are you kidding me? The stories I know of Art just from personally with him would have meant we could have filled 2 hours with.
You should hear, because I have teenage boys, 17 and 19 now.
Yeah.
And whenever I'm talking to them, sometimes I bust into my Arthur P. and just call them fucking fucks.
Yeah.
I'll be like, clean your room, you little fuckers.
Yeah.
And they always wonder, they're like, who is that again? And I'm like, you don't care because you never heard him.
Yeah. The best thing Art ever said on the air, I remember walking into the studio, I was laughing so fucking hard. He's like, yeah, I was at a party over the weekend. I met this chick. She stuck her hand down my pants and said, this is getting crazy. I said, dig a little deeper, you'll get nuts. Baby. Baby. It was the funniest goddamn thing, and he's so good. But he got tremendously lazy towards the end. The gaps between songs got wider and wider. He's hilarious.
I love it.
Yeah. Hey, man, I wanted to ask you, Greg, is it hard to be a program director who's a boss in charge of the whole damn thing and be an on-air talent?
All right. I think I attribute that to no one ever hiring me back in Detroit.
Really?
Well, when you're the PD, people can't separate you, the talent.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
get on the air and I trash the Red Wings or the Lions or whoever deserved it. Now I got to go into a meeting with the Ford dealers or with Little Caesars, and they're like, "Well, this guy just trashed our team," and they couldn't separate it. And I think a lot of people, when you're doing an on-air show, if you're a dick, they think you're a dick.
Right.
Like, I feel like a lot of DFN success was built on our outrageousness and our willingness to get attention. And I felt like 9 times out of 10, it was me doing all that. And so my reputation is shot as just being a maniac.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people who work with me are like, well, why do people think that? We've worked together for years. I don't see that. And I said, because on the air, I'm an asshole.
Yep. And it's a show. It's a talk show.
Yeah, it's Hollywood, man.
Mm-hmm.
And people, and so here's what I always tell my wife. All the other DFN guys have careers because of what happened at DFN.
Yep.
I don't have a career in Detroit because of what happened at DFN.
Yeah.
I
was the cover.
Yeah.
I was the cover for all of them.
Yeah.
You know, like I was the one out there screaming that the Lions were stealing our credentials. Stoney wasn't doing that. When I did promos about Mitch Albom, Stoney was in my office saying, please don't run that. Please don't run that. but yet they're all the benefactors of it. And I'm in Richmond.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. We fucking trashed Mitch Albom too. I mean,
he deserves it.
He does. The amount of interns that came through the Drew and Mike show and were just white as a ghost because they just left Mitch Albom and he just fucking trashed his interns. And
yeah, he's
notorious big asshole.
Yeah, I knew that too. One night they were having a going away party for Lorna Gladstone, the woman who started the Fan, and it was at Stoney's house, and Stoney lived with Mitch.
Okay.
About 2 months before that, I sat in his living room, me, Stoney, Mitch, and Jamie, talking, watching a boxing, I don't know who was boxing, watching a match, and talking about the Fab Five book. Mitch couldn't have been nicer. I go back 2 months later for the going away party, knock on the door. Larry Sorensen's standing next to me. I knock on the door. He opens the door and he goes, who are you guys? And they said, well, we're here for Lorna's party. He goes around back and slammed the door in our face.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, and that was it for me.
Do you remember the bar Roosevelt's?
Yep.
Yeah. I used to work there when I was like 18, 17 as a waiter. And one day, Mitch came in, and I was a kid that wanted to get into radio at some point. I'd read Mitch Albom for forever in the Freep. And he's sitting there just having a cocktail. He had a bandage on his hand for some reason. And he's all alone, and the place is kind of dead. And I just walked up to him, and I just said, hey, Mitch, I don't want to bother you. You know, I'm working. I don't want to bother you, but I just want to tell you I'm a big fan of your writing and this and that, you know, and whatever. And he literally didn't say a word and turned his back on me.
You know what his standard line is, I'm told? I don't want to bother you. He would just say, then don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's the guy he is. And you know what? I don't know. The whole Tuesdays with Maury thing, capitalizing on a dead friend. I don't know.
Yeah.
Never really was a big fan. And I don't know why he's still on the air, because no one listens to him.
No. He just every single story I've ever heard about him is that he's just a mean guy.
He's just a bitter guy.
Yeah. Which is weird. He's made all the money in the world.
Right.
You know?
He's got a great life. What's his deal?
Yeah, I know. And the Tuesdays with Maury's thing, that's what bothers you, because he's painted by Oprah as this saint of a man, so generous and blah, blah, blah. And what a great guy. And it's like, yeah, ask people around Detroit about Mitch Albom, you know.
Right.
They'll yeah. And Drew used to shit on him daily on our show. Mitch actually called and left a message for Drew one day.
He called me on the air at 97.1 one day. We had an argument on the air.
Really?
And then the pussy says, And as they say in radio, I'll hang up and listen. And I'm like, no, don't hang up, don't hang. And he hung up and walked away like a pussy.
Really?
Yeah. And then the next day we had coffee. He wanted to have coffee with me.
Yeah, he wanted to meet with Drew. He wanted to meet up with Drew, and I don't know. I mean, Drew was just like, "Yeah, fuck that, no,
fuck you,
hard pass."
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. But you know, all those stunts probably precluded me from ever coming back.
Well,
in the big picture,
I think you could come back for sure. I really do, and I don't know why you need radio. You could do a podcast thing, and be really successful.
But I don't know how to do it. You know what I mean? Like, you got to sell it. You got to put the show together, and you know, I don't know. I never really figured it out.
Yeah.
I mean, I do podcasts, but I didn't really. I don't have any business dealings back there. I don't have any, you know, ex-clients that are really still around. So yeah. I mean, I don't need radio, but I kind of want it. You know what I mean? I'll never get hired at 97.1 because Valenti's scared of me.
Yeah. Isn't he going to New York? I always hear rumors he's going to New York.
I don't think so. I don't think he's got the temerity to go.
No.
There's a chance you could lose. We work for the same company right now, and I don't know why I've never been asked to do a show on the weekends on that station. Have you heard some of the people on there?
No. I honestly, I didn't even listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
But I mean, there's something going on there, you know, and behind the scenes, kind of blackballed with my own company in Detroit.
Wow, that's too bad. I heard you say that your goal was to have, by the end of it, to have Channel 7 do a story about you when you die.
Yes. Yes.
Dude, I can totally relate to that. Like, have I left enough of a mark? Did all that we've done mean anything?
Yeah.
Does anyone?
We just want to be remembered, right?
Yeah. Have someone care. Yeah, I thought that was really funny. Another quote I heard from you, talking about those days back at the Fan, and you said something like, "You wish you had more perspective in those days."
Yes.
Do you remember saying that? And I was wondering what you meant by that.
Well, when the Fan was going strong, I didn't realize it. Like, I didn't realize the impact we were making and how much people enjoyed the station until I was gone. And I was always looking to get out because I always thought of it as just a dinky little station.
Yeah.
And so that's when I went to XYT because I'd had the Tigers and the Red Wings and the Lions on my station. And I'm like, I can really build this thing. And I kind of look back and I'm like, I should have just stayed with Jamie. People like that show.
Yeah.
But you don't know it when you're in it, right?
Yeah.
And that's an example, but there's a lot of you know, things that you look back on from a perspective standpoint and say, damn. Like I did. Okay, so I watched the Red Wing documentary
Mm-hmm.
on with the Avalanche, and I was in it. The shirts we sold, the Screw Lemieux shirts were in it.
Yep.
And I look back and go, shit, we were right in the middle of all that.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't realize. You know, at the time, it was just do the job, get the job done, make money on it, you know,
Right.
for the radio station. And I look back and I wish I would have considered. I'm not disappointed that I left the Fan because we all know how that turned out.
Right.
And when they didn't go FM, you knew that it wasn't going to work.
Right.
Because we were trying to put it on 106.7 back in 97, 98.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do it because they said, well, if we move it there, what do we do with this AM station? You know, and then now it's dead money.
Mm-hmm.
And so they never did it, and it just eroded over the years. But, you know, that was a moment in time. We captured that thing perfectly for the time we were in it.
Wasn't it awesome? I think the same exact thing. And what jumps out at me is because we would have like Drapes on and Ozzy, McCarty. These guys were 25-year-old kids in the prime of their career, and they listened to your show. They listened to the Drew and Mike show. And those guys would call in. Unlike, you would never get that from a Pistons player or a Lions player, very rarely. You know, but these kids were listening to local Detroit talk.
Yeah.
And they'd call, McCarty would call at 3 a.m. from Anaheim at 6 a.m. and you knew the show was going live. He'd be hammered, And,
yeah. I mean, going to parties with these guys. I mean, like, how many times I hung out with them, and I was before Chelly's. Like, we'd go to Fifth Avenue and Royal Oak with them, and I hung out with Aaron a lot back then because our wives were friends, and it was just a really good time to be in Detroit, and and it was, like I said, man, it was a moment in time. It really was.
Yeah. Going back to programming and being talent, I imagine it's difficult to make decisions that affect other voices, and a lot of egos. Did they get pissed at you from time to time, like thinking maybe you're playing favorites because you're actually on air too?
No, that never happened because I always put Stoney and Wojo out front.
Okay.
Because they were our highest rated show. I loved the show. I mean, that show to me was must listen for a long time. And I always pushed them out front. Like when we did TV commercials, I said, put Stoney and Wojo on it. Jamie would get pissed because I would never put us in there. And not pissed in a bad way. He'd go, don't you want to be on TV? And I'm like, it's better if we do it with them because to me, it was always station first. And I wanted DFN to succeed because everyone was waiting for it to fail. So I always pushed Stoney and Wojo out front because we were friends and because I thought they were the best show on the station. So, when we did stuff like that, it was important. Like, if we did marketing, it was Stoney and Wojo, and the on-air stuff was Stoney and Wojo, and it was always DFN first in those days.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
The station wins, everybody wins, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a great. It felt like a family over there. Like the shows all got along. I don't know if that's true, but that's kind of that. I when I was working in Lansing, I think we were a top 100 market, but you kind of had that feeling like we're all in this grind together.
Yep.
It wasn't like the big powerful morning show and then everybody else. It was just all kind of earning our stripes together.
Well, and we all hung out together. There were nights where we'd spend more time at Dunleavy's than we did at work. We'd go over there at 6 o'clock at night after Stoney Wojo's show. And we wouldn't leave till 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Just hanging out. Jamie and I used to go to movies all the time before we got married.
Yeah.
Just hanging out, man. It was young people just hanging out and enjoying each other's company. We all, literally no one didn't get along. We had flare-ups every now and then.
Sure.
With certain guys who didn't last long. But, there were assholes. But for the most part, everyone who was there got along.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I think I heard you saying that when you and Jamie would go to the movies, you would keep a seat between you guys.
A buffer seat, yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean,
like for real.
Jamie's like, you don't want to sit by me? And I'm like, no, you're right. I can talk to you still, but I don't need you that close. Then we got to share an armrest.
Yeah, bumping elbows. No, thank you.
There's a buffer seat. There better be a buffer urinal if you're going to the bathroom.
Yeah, amen.
Closeness is good, but it doesn't have to be unnecessary, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he was fun. We'd had a lot of good times because we were completely different people. I mean, he's a left coast lib. I'm a Midwestern conservative guy, and it was just like this is a funny story I don't think I've ever told. One night, good. Jamie and I were going to Royal Oak to get some beers, right? We were meeting up with Wojo and Stoney, and I said, Jamie, I'll swing by and pick you up. So I pick him up, he jumps in, and the Fugees song comes on. What was the big hit by the Fugees? Was it Killing Me Softly?
Oh, yeah. They did a version of Killing Me Softly.
Yep.
So I turn it up because I love it, right?
Yeah.
I love the original. I love that song. Jamie looks at me and he turns it down and he goes, I never understood why people turned up music when they liked a song. I said, because don't you want to feel the music too? He's like, no, it's just too loud.
I could totally see him saying that. That big old head of his. It's hurting his ears. That's so funny. So funny. I'm going to throw two names at you, and I want your reaction because I'm imagining this had as big an impact on you as it did on us. Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake.
Yep.
Yeah.
Screwed us. That got Jay Towers my job.
Yeah.
because they right after that happened, he had gotten fired at DRQ, and he's a little more sanitized and a little less edgy.
Yep.
When I found out in Discovery, when I went to arbitration, he had been emailing trying to get my job since about 2 months after that happened.
Really?
Uh-huh.
So he saw the window of opportunity there.
He did, because he was basically bored up at a music show on DRQ, and that kind of launched his career. And then I went to Venice with my family for 10 days, and I get over there, and he's auditioning my spot.
No way.
I called Michelle. She goes, I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, I do.
Yeah. It was weird because it wasn't a radio moment. It had nothing to do, like the nip slip at the Super Bowl. I think it was the Pepsi halftime show.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with radio, but it impacted us so much.
The ripple effect.
Like right away.
Well, because they went after Howard. And once Howard left FM, that hurt us.
Okay.
Even though Drew and Mike kicked his ass in Detroit, it still was a good, solid morning show for us, and it kept our company in the game. When he was gone, the company no longer wanted to do FM talk, so it was downhill from there.
Yeah. Did you guys have lawyers come in and meet with you during that time?
No, but they put in 2 dump buttons.
Yeah. One in the studio and one out of the studio that they had control of?
There was a guy in the basement. I had the first 8 seconds. He had the second 16 seconds.
Okay. Yeah.
So if I didn't get it, the fucking guy didn't hit the button when I got fired.
It's funny when we were leaving Riff, and what people didn't know is that we were already in discussions to stay at the station and go to 105.1 and do afternoons. So
yeah, but hold on.
Yeah.
How the hell did it get announced that Dave and Chuck were taking over before Drew and Mike even knew?
We did know.
Okay.
Because we'd been in negotiations behind the scenes, but it didn't involve everybody. So it was kind of like quiet. It was kind of hush-hush, even between us.
Right. It didn't involve Mike, right?
No, it didn't, which is why I did a podcast with Mike. You know, we did.
But he's a sports guy.
Who?
Didn't Mike know sports?
Nah, not really. He played it off well. Drew really knows sports. Mike was all right. He was fine. He had his wheelhouses. But the interesting thing was we still had 2 weeks broadcasting when it was announced that we were leaving and Dave and Chuck were coming. But nobody knew where we were going. And so they put a kill switch in the main Riff Air studio so that if we at any point in those 2 weeks went on and started shitting on the company,
go rogue.
Like, you know, we're being fired for these assholes, you know, they would just kill the whole fucking program.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I felt like
and they put someone in that studio. All of a sudden, there's just a dude in the main studio whose job was to sit there and just listen to the Drew and Mike show. In case we fucking went rogue, he could just.
But that's kind of insulting.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You know, Drew wouldn't do something stupid like that.
No, he wouldn't. No.
But it's interesting though, because I think they messed up 105.1 from the start. Everything was messed up.
Yeah.
And why did Drew really not want to do mornings? Is that what it was?
I think so. You know, mornings are tough, man. You know.
I know, but I'd have left him alone.
Yeah. Well, you know, Drew is a workaholic, and so he was just burning the candle at both ends. He's the guy that like has to know everything about everything, and so if you go to his house, he's got 1,000 newspapers strewn everywhere. You know. He's got a stack of magazines a mile high, and he just doesn't stop. It's a 24-hour gig for him, and then he's got to watch everything and TiVo, you know, and so that's a real burnout kind of grind, you know, after 22 years or whatever. So I think he wanted to chill in the afternoon, you know.
Yeah. No, I would have left him in afternoons. He knew enough sports, but you know, they just one mistake after another.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of. I'm kind of sensitive to it because I was supposed to go with them to that station, and I just wasn't feeling it, man. I didn't think it was going to work. I didn't want, you know, sports talk in the afternoon. Like, dude, you do a show where you talk about whatever you want. Why are you going to pigeonhole yourself just with sports in the afternoon? Your audience is in morning drive. And
but the PD should have said, Drew, You do what you do. I don't care if you mention a sport.
Yeah.
It's radio for men.
Do a
and there was
show loosely based on sports.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
TFN was always, always doing other stuff. It never had to be sports, particularly if you're going to offer an alternative to Valenti, who's just doing sports.
Right.
The whole thing, I think, from the hiring of some of the other talent all the way down was done wrong. It was all retread talent that never got ratings the first time.
Right. Yeah.
So it was, I don't know, man.
It was
You
destined
have
to
the
fail.
same. You said the same programming. Show after show after show. Essentially, if it's all sports based, you have to change
Right.
it up. You're going to have the same takes. Show after show. You have to change it up. Otherwise, it just becomes redundant.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to. That's where the creativity comes in. That's why you let Drew be Drew. And I would tell the GM that I was texting him all the time. Not texting, emailing him saying, just leave Drew alone. Let him do his own show.
Yeah.
But apparently the PD didn't want Drew.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this Dave Shore guy, I guess.
Oh,
That's what-
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that he wanted to get Drew Sharp, which I was like, what?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Wrong,
Yeah.
Drew.
Wrong, Drew. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love Drew Sharp, but
Drew
I wouldn't
Lane's-
put him anywhere over Drew Lane.
No, Drew Lane's a Hall of Fame talent. There's no question
he
about it.
He is.
Is it hard to spot talent? Because you were responsible for hiring talent, obviously.
Most of them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, were they nobodies when they got to you?
I didn't hire all of them, but like Wojo is on my list because he was just doing a weekend show, and I thought he'd be a great pairing. I had Brandon Tierney, who's now at the Fan in New York,
Yep.
and Dave Pasch was a hire of ours who we brought in. He's now the Cardinals play-by-play guy
Yeah.
for football. And there were Sabrina was a great talent. It really it had to do mostly with, are they curious about the world around them and what we're doing?
Yeah.
And, you can spot that a mile away. I just hired a guy here in Richmond who I think is going to be a rock star. And he's really good at what he does. He's young and he's different. He just has a little different edge to him than most of these guys. Because I don't know what you think about sports radio, but I think ESPN ruined it.
Yeah.
Um,
ESPN
it's
is
all-
unwatchable.
It's all boring ass guys trying to pontificate about the starting offensive line for the Lions. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me what I need to know about the Lions, and then let's have some laughs. And it was always ESPN. Like every time I have a job open, I get all these Mike Greenberg wannabes,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm like, no, stand out, make me listen.
Yeah.
And finding talent, it's hard to find, but it's not hard to recognize when you see it.
Right. Right. Yeah. I would think that would be hard when you get someone and they make the jump to the next level and it's obvious to everybody. Like that's easy. It's rooting through boxes of cassette tapes or CDs when you've got whether it's a band or a talent and going through that stuff and being able to find where's that thing that's going to be a unique voice on the air that's going to take a different attitude.
Here's the thing too. When I'll tell you another. I discovered Mike Valenti.
Really?
In my last week when I was at XYT before I was going to 97.1, I was transferring over. I got a tape and I popped it in, and it was Mike doing a show in Lansing.
Okay.
And I'm like, God, I hate this guy, but he's really good.
Why'd you hate him?
Because he was talking Sparty shit.
Yeah.
But he was good. So my replacement was Kevin Graham, who we'd worked together at DFN. And I wrote a note to Kevin. I said, you should hire this guy. He's really good. And 3 months later, they announced a lineup, or 2 months later, a new lineup, and he's part of it.
Really?
Yep. I left his stuff with a note, and it wasn't from Mike. It was from some agent he had hired. He, called, said, I'm representing Mike Valenti. I'm like, who's Mike Valenti that he needs representation? and so Kevin hired him based on the recommendation, and I still think he's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, love him or hate him, he's definitely good.
he's good at his job.
Stands out.
Yep.
You know, it's hard to.
And he puts in the work, which you can tell he does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sets people apart.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, what are your thoughts on the Lions this year?
I don't have much hope for the Lions. My kids are always running around going, Dad, why do you hate the Lions? And I'm like, I don't hate them. They're just not good. And my oldest son is fully bought into the hype
Yeah.
around Dan Campbell. And I'm like, why would you ever buy into that meathead? I mean, Dan Campbell to me is a sweet, adorable meathead. And I think they've made some moves. I'm kind of excited for the first time in a while, but 5 games this year. What's that to get bricked up about?
Yeah, I don't like see him making a run at the playoffs or anything, but I can see
No.
you know, hopefully teetering around that 500. Well, you can't even be 500 anymore,
unless
you get a tie.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even think they're that good, though. I just don't.
So. The over-under's the over 6 wins in Vegas right now. For that.
I'll take the under.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think 5.
Okay.
You know,
who are they going to beat? They can't beat the Commanders. The Commanders beat them every time they play.
They got the 5th softest schedule this year. Not that means a lot, but
I'd have to go back and revisit it, but they're no good.
They got the Jags, the Giants. They got some cupcakes through there.
I got so down on the Lions a year ago, before this past season, and for the first time in my life, because I'm a Niners fan, so I always had them, but I'd always watch the Lions, and I'm a fan of the Lions too. But I would always, like, oh, they seem like they're so close, and talk radio would just murder them, and I'm like, I don't think they're that bad. I was kind of an apologist for the Lions, and at the beginning of last year, I was like, fuck this team. I'm done. They suck. This is the worst franchise in sports. It's embarrassing, and I'm out. And so, but I'd still watch the games and yell and bitch about it. I wouldn't even give them a breath of air on this show. We would have ignored them. Just fucking ignored them. But then they started to build a little something, and I've got this weird feeling about the Lions going forward. And I don't know if I'm just Lucy. I'm Charlie Brown lining up to kick that fucking football again.
Drinking that Kool-Aid.
I'm not buying any of it.
Really, you don't buy any of it?
Burned too many times. I'll just wait and see. I am not going to get bricked up over the couple of draft picks because, we were all excited about Okuda and he sucked. Before he got injured, he sucked.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Matt Stafford goes to win
3.
Yeah. And then Matt Stafford wins the Super Bowl with the Rams.
Yeah.
The Lions in the big picture can eat me until they win something.
Yeah. Hey, I have a theory about cornerbacks being drafted in the first round.
Only the dumbasses do it in number 3.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't care who the guy is, unless it's Deion Sanders. Cornerbacks take 5 years of seasoning before you get anything out of them.
Or tight ends.
Right. But so it's like Jeff Okudah at 3. Okay, say he's not a bum, and I that's hard to believe. But say he's good. By the time he even shows sparks of greatness, he's gone. He's going to take a big money deal somewhere else, just like Darius Slay did.
Well, and the Lions have a history of guys playing for one contract and never playing again between Ziggy Ansah and DeAndre Levy.
Yep.
I mean, those guys were stealing money, and Okuda will probably do the same thing. I'm not maxing out any contracts anymore for non-skilled position guys.
Yeah. Do you think they stay with Jeff Goff or Jared Goff? Yeah.
I think through next year. Yeah. I mean.
Yeah.
I think here's the smart way to build your team. You need a quarterback on a rookie contract. So, because then you can. So he's got to play next year too. Next year's cap hit's not brutal, but it depends on how they finish this year. If they can get one of those 2 or 3 rookie quarterbacks early, then maybe you jettison him and use that money on defense and elsewhere. Because every team that wins now wins with a quarterback on a rookie deal, except Tom Brady. I mean, Mahomes and Russell Wilson, those guys. When you don't have to pay your quarterback $30 million, you can spend that money elsewhere.
Yeah,
right.
That's right. You got to re-sign them, and then it all falls apart.
Yes, exactly. So I don't know. I think that's what they're doing.
Put a team around, and then hopefully, you can hit the lottery next year with somebody that's going to pan out. And then you get 3 or 4 years out of them, and you're able to make a run. I like some of the pieces they're putting together.
Maybe, look, I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not saying everything they're doing is wrong.
Which Detroit team do you think is the closest to getting over the hump? Pistons? I agree with that too. I think
Really?
I think
the
Jaden
East
Ivey
is the
could've been
easiest
rookie.
route. Yeah.
Who do you think?
I think Jaden Ivey might be rookie of the year.
It's very yeah. Yeah, it's a great pick.
I mean,
for them.
I'm a real fan.
Yep.
Yeah.
He fell to them was fantastic.
Yeah, because of the Lions of the NBA, Sacramento.
I've seen some of the. I watched the breakdown of the picks that came right after them, like historically. It's been something. They'd have like an all-star team right now.
All guys they missed.
All guys that they picked, and nobody that they picked. I think the best one they had ahead of them was like Reddick or somebody. The only name he even knew of who they had.
Oh, that's so
The rest
sad.
They
are all
could
like
have had Jokovic,
Djokovic, yeah.
They,
or was it? It was either Jokovic or the other kid in Dallas.
no, yeah, it's the kid.
The white kid.
Doncic.
Doncic, yeah.
Clay
Thompson.
Thompson, and somebody else. One of the Damian Lillard, I think.
No,
No,
it
the
was
beard. The beard.
no, it was the guy the Pistons have.
Who?
Cade?
No, the guy they got from Sacramento last year. He's good, Bagley.
Oh, yeah,
Bagley.
Yeah. Well, this
Bagley
was
was
going
who
back
they
a few
took.
years. Like, it wasn't like just the last but the last over the last 8 years.
But like 2 years ago, they took Bagley over like Doncic or something.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, but they're going all the way back to like Lillard. There was,
I think
they missed, and then the very next pick was like a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Who's
I'm pretty excited about the Pistons and Red Wings, though. I mean, Yzerman's still got years to go.
Yep, that's a
Because
long bill.
those players got to be in the pipeline 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
But I see no hope for the Tigers. I can't believe they're going to let Al Avila do another trade deadline. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, this is a guy who got nothing for Verlander, who's still pitching like Bob Gibson.
Yeah.
And the return on the sell-off is a laughable joke.
Yeah. It
Chris
is.
Ilitch is the worst owner in sports, though, I'm telling you. And he's the only person who's ever had a worse career as a manager, as a president of a team, was his sister.
Denise.
Remember her?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Going back to conservatism, and we'll wrap things up here in just a minute. Do you think there's any fallout from Jim Harbaugh having the pro-life stance that he had publicly the other day at a pro-life event, and then doubling down on it, 2 days ago? Do you think being a coach in Ann Arbor, as liberal as that place is, there's going to be some stink on him from this?
Yes and no. I mean, there's already stink on him because he's a Christian, right?
Right.
In Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor is a vile place. I hate everything about it except that stadium, and that's quickly turning me away. I mean, the whole college football thing. Well, Michigan is going to suffer because they're a far left wing institution. They're not going to get involved in NIL, and they're going to lose recruits. Mel Tucker's going to out recruit Michigan because they won't pay.
Yeah.
And when he said it was he wanted to be transformational and not transactional. You knew that the Michigan was cooked. But I don't think the pro-life thing, I don't think is going to stick. It was on Drudge today, obviously on there to try to needle him.
Yep.
And it's getting a lot of play in the left-wing media, and no one seems to care. Yeah. And my thought is, who the hell cares? He can think whatever he wants.
That's what it should be.
That's the way it should be. That's the way it always was historically, but it's not anymore. And we've seen people canceled for much less.
Well, here's why I don't think it matters. And this is kind of my working theory, is like with Black Lives Matter and things like that, he had to be front and center because the majority of his players are going to be black players.
Right.
So, but I think a lot of his players, because they're Christians, and I know a lot of athletes are Christians.
Yep.
Agree with them. So there's going to be no recruiting fallout. I think it's going to be only the fallout from the far lefties, and I don't think they matter. And as long as Harbaugh stands tall and says, "Don't care," they can't cancel him. You got to be like Kid Rock, man. Uncancelable.
Yep. I agree, and we've seen it too many times where you can be as woke as possible. You step in something accidental. You apologize profusely multiple times, and it's still not good enough.
No,
So
never apologize.
Never apologize. Unless you sincerely mean it, unless you're actually sorry about something.
Yeah, but even then, they'll never stop.
Right.
If you apologize. That's why I'm glad he doubled down.
Yeah.
He basically flipped the bird to these nuts.
Yeah.
You know, I call them the climate change freaks and all the, you know,
Yeah.
the COVID freaks and these left-wing progressive idiots.
Yeah, it's funny. Last question, and I'll let you get on with your day, Greg. I appreciate you spending so much time with us.
No problem.
This has been a lot of fun. You're friends with J. Chris Newberg.
What's that?
You're friends with J. Chris Newberg.
Oh yeah, he used to come on my show all the time. He's great.
Yeah, he's on the network here. His podcast Heroin has a great publicist.
I was on that one.
Yeah. That's
you got to go see him out in L.A., huh?
Well, I was out in L.A. and I called him. I said, "Are you going to be doing any shows?" And he goes, "When are you here?" And I told him the date, and he goes, "I'll get on the bill."
Yeah.
So we saw him at the Comedy Store. I'm telling you, he's never been funnier than he is right now.
Dude, I agree 100%. He's so good.
He used to bring guitar on the show and do stuff, and I was like, "That's pretty funny." He had me rolling for a good 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, and there was another girl on there who was in Legally Blonde, and she was creepy funny too.
Really? On the show with you?
Yeah. She was on his bill. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it was a really good night, and just me and the wife and my mother-in-law went over, and it was a blast.
Yeah. He's so fun, man. He's coming into town, I think, next month.
Yeah, end of August. He'll be at Ridley's. So come on up.
Yeah.
I was just there.
Oh yeah.
Were you?
We were up north. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Chris was. Do you remember him as a kind of an annoying, like, before he made it, on any level? He'd get in on one of the shit stations in the building. They'd put him on in some hacky thing, and he'd always make his way over to the Drew and Mike show and be like, "Can I get on?" I was like, no, you can't. We're talking to Bill Burr today.
Yeah. My shit show put him on.
Yeah, so did I. I put him on in. I finally one day he had done something and made a name for himself. He'd written a song that was on, I don't know, what was it, American Idol or something. And so it was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll put you on. And he came in. He was great. He was awesome. And then he did it a few more times. But
he used to come in on our show when he was still a private investigator. He was trying to make it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you though, I tell him every time I see him what he did took huge balls, and I'm so impressed and so jealous that he packed the shit and went.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a kid. He was a 30-year-old going out there.
He's worked his ass off every day since.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Now he's a real working comedian.
Yeah, he sure is. And he's playing stadiums.
I know.
It's crazy.
I love it. He deserves everything.
Yeah, but he's got to stop beating himself up. I don't know if he's got imposter syndrome or what, but he can. Oh man, I'll never do a show as good as yours. I'm like, dude, your show's great. What are you talking about? It's great, and you're killing it on stage. You know
what though? He's just one of those guys who just is unassuming.
Yeah.
But big talent. I'm a huge fan of his. Oh, and I like the White Oprah too.
Oh, Amy. Yeah, Amy.
Definitely.
Amy's a good friend. She's great. She'll love to hear her name dropped right there. I guarantee it.
I couldn't stop looking at her.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
I'm like, that is one pretty woman. What's she doing next to this guy?
Yeah, right. Yeah, he cherry picked her. She actually. I had 2 like meetups with listeners and stuff. We did a couple remotes and packed a couple bars, and we did a trivia contest based on our show. And so we had hundreds of questions all about the show. Like if you were listening from day one, like some deep dark stuff, she won it twice. She kicked everyone's ass. It was hilarious.
That's great.
Yeah,
she's good. They're good together. I like their show too.
Yeah. He's a blast. This is Greg Henson, 3G. Usually don't trust the 3Gs, but I trust this one. Greg, you can follow him on Twitter at Greg Henson, greghenson.com. He's at WRVA if you're hanging on the Richmond, Virginia area, program director at Entercom Media.
Or the Odyssey app.
What's that?
Or you can hear us on the Odyssey app.
The Odyssey app. What is that? Is it explain what that is?
Oh, it's the radio company Odyssey, AUDA. Y has an app, and you can listen to all our stations, and RVA is one of them.
Awesome.
Download it.
Yes. Now go get yourself an Australian Shepherd.
Man, I need one bad.
I want pics. I want pics.
Oh, I will. I'll send nudes.
Perfect.
I love it. Thank you so much for the time, Greg. It's been great catching up and talking to you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. It was fun.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, man.
All right. Bye. Oh, that was great.
Yeah, I can love that dude, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's funny.
yeah.
He's funny.
Just a blast.
Young, too. He was young when he took over. Like, I think of my earliest days in radio, like, I so felt like I didn't belong at all, that it was just like, how do I stay under the radar and just keep being able to, my card still works to get in the building.
Right.
And I had that, like when I went to Lansing, zero fucking personality, zero confidence in anything, just green, blech. And then Kalamazoo wasn't much better, starting to get a little bit of a voice, maybe, but not much, not really pushing your thoughts or taking a stand on anything. It was just kind of like, just get by.
Yep.
And so to know that he was as young as he was and was like, fucking kick the door in, start making moves.
Yeah.
And, the fan was a legit player in this town.
Oh, big time. Yeah,
DFN? Yeah.
It really was.
I mean, that's what I listened to in the
That
afternoon.
was the roots, no doubt.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we'd finish the Drew and Mike show. And
I mean, half the guys that are, the ticket now all came from that. That's the local sports roots of this town.
Yeah. It's something about local radio. You
Yep.
can't, it's hard to do it with national radio when you've got local programming.
Yeah.
That was a time when there were big salaries. There was a lot of money to be made. It was pre-internet.
Yeah, it's a dying breed now, terrestrial radio.
I meant to ask him about that, his thoughts on that, because he's still hanging in there.
Yeah.
But it's got to be hard, man. There's 4 million podcasters now.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, saturated market.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Anyway, why don't we wrap it up there, T?
I'm starving. Let's get some food.
Let's get some food.
Get some fucking French toast.
There you go. Let's thank Greg Henson again. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and
appreciate it.
We'll have to get him on again.
Yeah, definitely.
He's definitely got some takes. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back on Monday. We'll try to do some extra content a little later.
Yep.
And, have a great weekend, everybody.